In the farthest edge of the galaxy, stories were told about a race that once ruled the stars, humans. To most alien civilizations, they were nothing more than myth now. Ancient, dangerous, emotional creatures who had burned their own world in war and disappeared without a trace. For thousands of years, no one had seen even a fragment of their existence. The galaxy moved on. Empires rose, alliances fell, and the name human became nothing more than a legend told to frighten children. Captain Threx of the Vorn Dominion never believed such nonsense. He commanded the battlecruiser VSS Iron Talon, a proud vessel of the most powerful empire in the Orion Arm. Threx was known for his arrogance and logic. Humans? He once scoffed during a fleet briefing. If they ever existed, they destroyed themselves. That's what emotional species do. His crew laughed with him, repeating the words proudly. To them, logic was strength. Emotion was weakness. But that confidence began to crumble one cold, silent day. The Iron Talon was patrolling near a forgotten system called Sigma 9, a dead sector full of broken moons and drifting asteroids. There was nothing there. No trade, no life, no reason to visit. Yet the scanners began to blink. A strange rhythmic signal cut through the static of space. It was old, distorted, but unmistakable. A coded transmission. "Sir," said Ensign Vora, her hands shaking slightly, "we're picking up an ancient emergency beacon." "It's using a format I've never seen," Threx frowned. "Play it." The sound that followed was eerie. A repeating pulse followed by a faint human voice, old and cracked with age. "This is Earth Command. Mayday. Unknown signal detected. Requesting response." The entire bridge went silent. The word Earth echoed in the air like thunder. Even the hum of the ship's engines seemed to fade. "Earth Command?" Threx repeated, trying to sound calm. "Impossible. Earth was destroyed millennia ago. Some data fragments say it turned into glass after their wars." Vora swallowed. "And yet, Captain, the beacon is real. Coordinates locked. It's coming from the third planet in this system." The alien crew exchanged uneasy glances. No one wanted to say what they were all thinking. Threx leaned forward, mandibles tightening. "Set course for the signal. Let's uncover this ghost once and for all." The Iron Talon entered orbit of a dead world. The planet was cracked and gray, covered in ash storms that twisted like dying serpents. No life signs, no radiation. But under the thick clouds, faint energy readings pulsed like a heartbeat. The scanners struggled to penetrate the atmosphere. "This place is a grave," said Lieutenant Har. "No one could live here." Threx smirked. "Then it should be safe. Prepare a probe. I want to see what lies beneath." The probe descended through the ash. Lightning flashed across the sky. For a moment, the crew saw the outline of something impossible, the skeleton of a great city buried in the dust. Towers half melted, streets filled with silence. As the camera feed cleared, words appeared carved into stone near a collapsed building. "United Earth Defense Command." The bridge filled with nervous whispers. "It's just ruins," someone said. "Artifacts, nothing more." But before Threx could reply, the transmission cut to static. Then, without warning, every light on the ship flickered. Consoles rebooted on their own. A deep metallic hum filled the air. "Report," Threx shouted. "Unknown signal hijacking our systems," Vora yelled. "It's coming from the surface. The beacon is transmitting back at us." And then they heard it. A voice, strong, commanding, human. "This is Earth Command. Identify yourself." Every alien on the bridge froze. The voice wasn't recorded. It was live. Threx's heart pounded. He had no explanation for it. "Respond," he barked. "This is Captain Threx of the Vorn Dominion." "You are trespassing on Dominion frequency." Silence. Then the voice returned, colder this time. "Vorn Dominion. Unauthorized presence detected in Terran space. You should not be here." The crew began to panic. "Terran space?" one shouted. "But this system isn't claimed." The ship's sensors exploded with movement. Dozens of power readings appeared in orbit, forming a wide circle around the planet. Strange, massive shapes flickered in the dark, shadows that weren't there moments ago. "Impossible," whispered Vora. "Those are ships." Threx turned toward the main screen. His breath caught. Through the gray clouds of dust, something enormous emerged. A warship, silent and ancient, its hull blackened but intact. The shape was unmistakable, human design. As the Iron Talon's engines roared to retreat, another signal came through. thousands of them now, forming a chorus across every comm frequency. Human Fleet Command. Reactivation sequence complete. The aliens could only stare as the stars themselves seemed to move. One by one, gigantic human warships powered up, their engines glowing blue in the void. Threx felt a chill run through him. The legends had been true. Humanity was not extinct. They had been sleeping, waiting for the right moment to return. "Captain," Vora whispered. "What do we do?" Threx looked out at the growing wall of human ships. The sky was no longer empty. It was alive, burning with light and thunder. He swallowed hard. We run." But before he could give the order, the comms crackled again. "Earth command to unidentified vessel. You've seen enough." And then, the stars vanished in a blinding flash. The Iron Talon drifted silently above the dead planet, smoke rising from its hull after the sudden energy surge. Every system flickered back online slowly, leaving behind a terrified silence across the bridge. The crew spoke in whispers, afraid even to breathe too loudly, as if the ghosts of the dead world below were listening. Captain Threx stood at the command center, staring at the planet that now pulsed with faint blue light beneath the clouds. The last thing he had heard before everything went dark still echoed in his mind. "Earth command to unidentified vessel. You've seen enough." He replayed the words again and again, trying to convince himself it was just interference, a trick of static, maybe an ancient recording that somehow reactivated. But deep inside he knew it wasn't. That voice was alive, sharp, deliberate, and filled with power. "Report," he said finally, his voice hoarse. Ensign Vora's claws tapped against her console. "All systems back online, Captain. Engines functional, but something strange happened to the probe data." Threx frowned. "Explain." The files were rewritten. Every image, every scan, overwritten by a single phrase. She hesitated before reading it aloud. "We are not gone. We are waiting." A chill spread through the room. Even the hum of the engines seemed quieter. Threx exhaled slowly, his spines twitching. "Bring the ship around. I want a full orbit sweep. If something down there is transmitting, we find it." The Iron Talon descended into a lower orbit, its scanners cutting through the storms. Beneath the thick ash and clouds, the planet revealed more ruins, vast burned cities, the skeletons of towers reaching like broken fingers toward the sky. The alien crew watched in uneasy silence. "This planet should be lifeless," Lieutenant Har muttered, "and yet the power readings are increasing." A new pulse flashed on the sensor screens, a deep energy surge from beneath the planet's surface. "A signal, strong, rhythmic, and rising." "Captain," Vora shouted, "the beacon is reactivating again. It's sending a massive transmission out of the system." Threx's eyes widened. "To where?" "Everywhere," she whispered. "Across the entire sector." Before Threx could respond, the ship's internal lights dimmed again. A low hum filled the bridge, vibrating in the floor. For a moment, everyone thought it was an attack, but then they realized it was coming from their own ship. "Something's tapping into our data core," said Har, frantically checking controls. "Captain, it's rewriting our navigation logs." "Cut the link," Threx ordered. "I can't," Vora yelled. "It's faster than us." Then across every monitor, a human face appeared. It was an old recording, grainy, black and white. But the voice was clear, filled with authority and fire. "To whoever finds this message, know this. Humanity does not die. We endure. We rebuild. If you are hearing this, then the time of silence is over." The video ended with a flicker of static. Then the words reappeared. "Humanity protocol, rebirth, every console on the ship shut down." Then, just as suddenly, everything powered back up again. But something was different. The navigation display now showed hundreds of signals flashing in the void, far beyond the system's borders. "Unknown contacts. Are those ships?" Vora asked, her voice trembling. "Too far to confirm," Har replied. "But the energy signatures? They're not ours. Not Vorn, not any known species." The bridge filled with an uncomfortable silence. Threx stared at the glowing dots spreading across the map. "They're responding," he said quietly. "Something out there heard that signal." He turned toward Vora. "How old was that recording?" She checked quickly. "At least 5,000 years. Threx rubbed his temples. 5,000 years, and it's still working, still waiting." He took a deep breath and looked out at the dead world below. There's something buried here. Something that shouldn't exist. Should we inform High Command? Har asked nervously. Threx hesitated. The Vorn Dominion prided itself on control and power. If the Council learned he had found something connected to the myth of humans, they would send fleets. Or worse, they would silence his entire crew. No, he said finally. Not yet. We gather more data. Then we decide what to tell them. The ship adjusted its orbit again, and as the clouds cleared for a brief moment, they saw a strange shape on the planet's surface, a massive underground structure still glowing with energy. It looked like a fortress, buried deep beneath layers of ash. Suddenly, the probe feed came back online. Static filled the screens, but through the distortion, they saw something move inside the structure. Not a hologram this time, but a mechanical figure, humanoid, standing tall among the ruins. Its eyes glowed faint blue, turning toward the camera as if it knew it was being watched. "Captain," Vora whispered. That's human design." Before Threx could reply, the figure raised its hand, and the probe exploded. The bridge went dark again. Alarms blared. Energy waves rippled across the ship, knocking some of the crew to the floor. The entire planet began to rumble, its crust cracking as something deep underground powered up for the first time in millennia. When the screens returned, the crew stared in horror. Dozens of enormous hangar doors were opening across the planet's surface, releasing blue light into the sky. And inside each hangar, something began to rise. Old ships. Metallic giants. Human-made war vessels, their hulls scarred but intact, awakening from the dust of extinction. Vora's voice was barely a whisper. "They're waking up." Threx couldn't move. His voice came out hollow and shaken. "No. They're coming back." Far across the stars, other forgotten stations, long abandoned, started lighting up one by one. The ancient network of humanity was alive again. And as the Iron Talon's sensors reached their limits, the last message appeared across every system in bold white letters. Rebirth sequence active. Humanity has returned. The silence after the signal was deafening. Captain Threx stood motionless at the center of the bridge, his eyes fixed on the flickering display that now showed hundreds of new energy readings across the galaxy. Each one pulsed like a heartbeat, spreading farther and faster every second. Humanity's rebirth was no longer a legend. It was happening right before their eyes. His crew was in chaos. Officers rushed from console to console, shouting over one another as sensors overloaded. "Multiple transmissions detected," Vora shouted. "The signal from Earth is being answered, from every direction." Threx clenched his jaw. "By who?" "I don't know," she replied, "but the signatures are ancient, human code structures. Whatever these are, they've been asleep for thousands of years." Lieutenant Har slammed his hand against the railing. "This is impossible!" "The humans burned their own world to ash. They cannot still exist." Threx turned sharply, his tone cold. "Then explain what we're seeing, Lieutenant." Those signals didn't come from ghosts. Outside, the dead planet's surface glowed brighter. Entire continents shimmered beneath the ash as dormant power grids came to life. Blue lightning crawled across the clouds. The ground itself seemed to breathe. The ruins of ancient cities began to light up. Streets, towers, landing bays, all waking together, as if the world had simply been sleeping. Vora looked pale. "Captain, I think this planet isn't just a ruin. It's a control center, a relay hub for something far larger." Threx frowned. "A relay for what?" She hesitated, then spoke quietly. "For a fleet." Before Threx could respond, the ship's communications officer shouted, "Incoming transmission from the Vorn Dominion High Command." The holographic image of Supreme Commander Yel Tor flickered to life, his tone sharp and impatient. "Captain Threx, your silence is unacceptable. Reports indicate you've entered restricted space and triggered an ancient signal." "Explain yourself immediately." Threx's mandibles tightened. "Sir, we found something we were never meant to find. The old legends, they're true. Humanity existed and they built more than we imagined." "Their technology is reawakening," Yel Tor hissed. "Superstition. We conquered this galaxy because we moved beyond such primitive myths. You will destroy whatever you found before it spreads panic." Threx swallowed hard. "With respect, sir, I don't think that's possible anymore. The signal has spread across the entire sector. Something vast is waking up. Something human." For a moment, even Yel Tor looked uncertain. His eyes darted away as if reading unseen data. Then he spoke again, quieter this time. We are detecting unidentified energy readings on the galactic rim. They're massive. If your report is accurate, you've unleashed something far beyond our control. The transmission cut abruptly. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Captain, Vora said, High Command is afraid. Threx nodded slowly. Then maybe they finally understand. Suddenly, the Iron Talon's long-range sensors began to scream. Dozens of blips appeared at the edge of known space, then hundreds. The readings were unlike anything they had ever seen. Power levels off the scale, energy signatures thousands of times stronger than any Vorn warship. Contact, Har shouted. Unknown vessels approaching from deep space, forming into structured formations. Estimated size, each over 10 kilometers long. Threx's breath caught. He stepped toward the viewport. At first it was just empty blackness. Then, one by one, faint blue lights appeared, hundreds of them, like stars igniting in the void. Slowly, enormous shapes emerged from the darkness, sleek, angular warships built for one purpose: war. They're not broadcasting any ID codes, Vora whispered. Threx didn't need one. He already knew. Humans, he said softly. The humans are coming back. Across the galaxy, panic spread. Alien governments scrambled fleets into defensive positions. Broadcasts filled the comms, fear, confusion, and disbelief. The myths were true. The extinct species that once terrified the stars was alive. One alien news channel flickered on the Iron Talon's screen. A nervous reporter spoke into the camera. The signal from the ancient Terran world has activated thousands of unknown objects in deep space. Experts fear it could be humanity. If so, this could mean the end of the current galactic order. Threx muted the broadcast. They'll try to stop them, he said quietly. They won't succeed, Vora replied, her voice trembling. No one ever did. The ship's alarms blared again, this time not from the humans, but from the Dominion's own fleets. High Command had launched countermeasures. Dozens of Vorn dreadnoughts were being deployed to intercept the approaching signals. High Command is declaring a galaxy-wide alert, Har announced. They're calling it Operation Oblivion. Threx looked out at the stars. They think they can fight the past, he muttered. They're fools. Moments later, a new transmission echoed across all channels, an open broadcast that every species in the galaxy received at the same time. The voice was calm, deep, and unmistakably human. This is Fleet Command. To all sentient life, be advised. Humanity's silence has ended. The era of forgetting is over. Every screen flickered. The human insignia, blue and white, shaped like the old Earth, appeared across the galaxy. And then, the voice continued. We watched. We waited. Now we return. The message ended, and the sky came alive. From the black of space, the first wave of human warships emerged through a massive wormhole. Their hulls were old but powerful, covered in glowing blue veins of energy. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as the fleet formed in perfect silence. Vora whispered. They thought humans were extinct. Threx finished her sentence softly. But now the sky is filled with their warships. The bridge lights dimmed as the human fleet began its slow, unstoppable advance. And deep inside, Threx realized the truth. No one in the galaxy was ready for what was coming. Humanity had returned. And they were awake. The galaxy held its breath. Across every world, every station, every hidden colony, beings of all kinds looked up at the night sky and saw the same terrifying sight. The stars themselves were moving. What once shimmered quietly in the void now pulsed with blue light. Thousands of massive shapes drifted through the darkness, forming patterns that looked almost alive. Humanity's fleet had returned. Captain Threx watched the main screen of the VSS Iron Talon in stunned silence. The ships were unlike anything he had ever seen, ancient yet alive, glowing faintly with power that felt older than the empires themselves. Each vessel was the size of a city, their hulls covered in old battle scars, yet they moved with perfect precision, forming geometric formations that spread across half the sky. Estimate on fleet size? Threx asked quietly. Ensign Vora's voice shook as she read the readings. Unknown. Our sensors are overwhelmed. Hundreds, maybe thousands of ships. Some are enormous. 50 kilometers in length, maybe more. Lieutenant Har leaned forward, disbelief in his eyes. How can a species that vanished thousands of years ago command such power? Threx didn't answer. He didn't have to. The answer was right in front of them. This wasn't new power. It was old, buried, and preserved. Humanity hadn't died. They had waited. The comms crackled to life suddenly. A broadcast, clear, strong, and undeniably human, echoed across every channel in the system. This is Admiral Riley of the United Terran Command. To all non-human vessels in this sector, you are trespassing in restricted Terran space. Withdraw immediately. The voice was calm but heavy with authority. The kind of voice that made you obey before you realized you were doing it. Threx's bridge went silent. Every alien officer stared at the comm system as if it were alive. Did she just say Terran space? Har whispered. That hasn't existed for millennia. Threx's mandibles clicked nervously. Apparently it does again. Outside the viewport, the human fleet began to move. Slowly, deliberately, the massive ships turned toward the Vorn Dominion's observation fleet, dozens of alien warships that had come to study the reawakening. "Captain," Vora said softly, "they're locking onto us." Before Threx could respond, one of the alien ships panicked. A Vorn destroyer fired first, a desperate plasma shot across the void, its blue trail arcing toward the nearest human vessel. The shot never landed. A human ship, far larger than the destroyer, shimmered with light and vanished for a split second. When it reappeared, it was behind the Vorn fleet. The plasma bolt exploded harmlessly into empty space. What was that?" Har shouted. "Some kind of jump drive," Vora replied, "but faster than light within local space." "That's impossible." A second later, a thin blue beam cut across the darkness. It wasn't explosive or flashy. It was quiet, elegant, and horrifying. The beam sliced straight through the destroyer's hull like it was paper. The ship split in two and vanished in a burst of flame. Gasps filled the Iron Talon's bridge. "They didn't even target lock," Vora whispered. "They just erased it." Then came the voice again. Calm, cold. "Warning one acknowledged. Any further aggression will be met with full retaliation." The message repeated across all frequencies. Threx's hands tightened on the rail. He could see panic rippling through the Vorn formation. Their ships were turning, retreating, breaking formation in chaos. No one wanted to be the next to fire. "Captain," Har said, his voice low, "we should leave. Whatever this is, it's beyond us." But Threx didn't move. His eyes were locked on the largest of the human ships, a massive carrier, dark and silent, except for the faint blue glow of its engines. Across its hull, ancient letters shimmered faintly in the light. Vora zoomed in and whispered the name. "Ewan's Dauntless," Threx frowned. "That ship name? It's in every human archive. Their flagship." He leaned closer to the screen. For the briefest moment, he thought he saw a figure on the command bridge. A woman standing before a glowing map of the stars, her eyes cold and calculating. The woman who had just spoken to them. Admiral Riley. Suddenly the ship's alarms blared again. New readings, not human this time. Multiple warp signatures appearing at the edge of the system. Vora scanned them quickly. "It's not us. Multiple alien fleets. Dominion, Arco, Tyrant, even the Coalition. They're all arriving. They've united." "United?" Threx muttered in disbelief. "To do what?" "To stop the humans," she said. The view outside the ship changed. Massive alien fleets began to form a blockade across the sector, surrounding the human armada from every direction. Hundreds of ships, each from a different world, their weapons charged and ready. A message echoed through the comms from the Dominion flagship. "To the human fleet, you have violated galactic peace. Stand down and surrender your technology." For a long moment, there was only silence. Then a soft sound, a human chuckle, came through the speakers. It wasn't Admiral Riley this time. It was another voice, male, older, heavy with amusement. "Surrender," the man said. "You forget who we are." Before anyone could react, the stars ignited. Every human ship released a sudden burst of energy, brighter than sunlight. Alien shields shattered instantly as waves of EMPs spread through space, shutting down thousands of systems at once. The Iron Talon shook violently as its own lights went out. The crew screamed as sparks rained down. "Systems offline," Vora shouted. "We're blind!" Outside, only the human ship still glowed, silent, steady, unstoppable. When power finally returned, the view made every alien heart freeze. Half of the blockade fleet was gone, vaporized, no debris, no signals. just silence, and then Admiral Riley's voice came again, calm, final. We gave you a warning. Humanity doesn't seek conquest, but if you raise weapons against us again, you will learn why your ancestors feared our name. Threx felt his chest tighten. The stories were true, every one of them. He looked up at the burning sky, filled with ships that should not exist, and whispered, "The galaxy will never be the same again." Above him, the fleet of humanity moved forward, slow, silent, and endless. The sky trembled under their return. The galaxy had gone silent after the battle. Every world, from the icy moons of the Arkle to the burning deserts of the Dominion, had seen the same images. Fleets of alien warships wiped from the stars in minutes by humans who were supposed to be extinct. The shock rippled through civilizations like a tidal wave. On the Vorn flagship Iron Talon, Captain Threx stood in silence, staring at the ruined space before him. Millions of tons of metal now drifted as glowing dust. The sensors picked up faint radiation trails, all human. Their energy signatures were unlike anything recorded in galactic history. Lieutenant Har broke the silence first. "Sir, what are we going to do now? Report to command? Tell them the truth?" Threx's mandibles clicked nervously. "If we report this, the Council will panic. The galaxy will panic." Before Har could answer, the comms flickered again. Static buzzed, and then a voice, deep, calm, and human, filled the room. "Attention, vessels of the Vorn Dominion. This is Earth Command. You are to power down your weapons and prepare for contact." Every alien on the bridge froze. The voice wasn't a recording. It was live. Threx looked up, trying to steady his voice. "This is Captain Threx of the Vorn Dominion. We acknowledge. But who are you? Humanity was destroyed thousands of years ago." A pause. Then the voice replied, calm, patient, and laced with quiet strength. "Destroyed? No, we slept." A wave of unease washed through the crew. "We saw the galaxy tear itself apart after our wars." The voice continued. "So we hid. We went silent. We built deeper, far beyond your maps, waiting for the day the stars burned cold enough for us to return." Threx swallowed hard. "Why return now?" "Because," the voice said, "you woke us up. The entire bridge went cold. Your fleets trespassed into our graveyards. Your miners dug into our silent worlds. And your scientists tried to decode our weapons. We watched for centuries, but you didn't stop. So now, we have." The transmission ended abruptly. Silence hung heavy, thick enough to choke on. Threx turned toward Vora. "Trace that signal." She worked quickly, scanning the comm frequencies. "It's impossible, sir. It's coming from everywhere, like it's bouncing through subspace." "Everywhere," Threx whispered. "Or from something that is everywhere." Before anyone could respond, the main screen flickered. The static cleared, revealing a planet. "Blue-green and familiar from ancient records, sir," Vora said softly. "That's Earth." Gasps filled the bridge. The world that was supposed to be burned and barren looked alive. Oceans glittering, clouds moving slowly across its surface, lights shining across continents. It wasn't a dead planet. It was thriving. The crew stared in disbelief as the feed zoomed in closer. Cities of steel and glass stretched across the continents, linked by glowing rings of light. Vast orbital platforms floated above them, humming with quiet power. "Impossible," Har muttered. Every scan said Earth was destroyed during the collapse. Threx didn't speak. He was watching something else, something far stranger. Orbiting the planet was a colossal ring, massive enough to be seen from space. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. Vora read the data from her console. "It's a structure, sir. Energy levels are off the charts. It's bigger than any station ever built." "Can we identify its purpose?" Threx asked. "Unknown." "But," she hesitated, "it's powering every human ship out here." "That ring is Earth Command." The realization hit everyone at once. The humans hadn't just built ships. They had built a machine that could control fleets across light years. "Sir," Har shouted suddenly. "Incoming signal, visual this time." The screen changed again. A woman appeared, standing tall on the bridge of a human warship. Her uniform was dark, her hair silver, and her eyes cold as steel. It was Admiral Riley, the same voice they'd heard before. "To all who can hear me," she began, her tone calm but heavy, "humanity has returned. We do not seek war, but we will not be hunted again. The age of silence is over." Behind her, the view showed the Earth ring, its massive energy fields rotating slowly, glowing brighter with each second. "We will not expand," Riley continued. We will reclaim. Every world that once belonged to humanity will be restored. Those who resist will not be destroyed, only reminded. Reminded. Threx repeated softly. Har's eyes widened. Reminded of what, sir? As if in answer, the view shifted again. The stars beyond Earth began to move, hundreds of faint dots appearing across the galaxy map. Each one pulsed the same blue hue as the human fleet. They've got bases, Vora whispered, hidden all this time, on hundreds of worlds. You thought we were gone, Riley said. You built your empires on our ruins. Now we are taking back what was lost. The screen went dark. No one spoke for a long moment. The sound of the ship's engines hummed quietly in the background. Then Vora whispered, Sir, every empire is mobilizing. They're sending fleets to defend their borders. Threx closed his eyes. It won't matter. He turned to the viewport, watching as distant flashes of light began to appear in the void, the human fleet spreading out, moving from system to system like ripples across a pond. Once, Threx said quietly, we laughed at the idea of humans. Now we pray they don't remember our names. Far away, Earth glowed brighter, its ancient heartbeat echoing across the stars. And somewhere deep beneath its surface, something vast and alive stirred. Something older than Admiral Riley, older than the fleets. Something that had slept even longer. The true voice of Earth had not yet spoken. The galaxy was unraveling. Every broadcast, every signal, every whisper spoke of one thing, the return of humanity. Entire civilizations that once mocked the ancient legends now held emergency meetings, desperate to understand how a dead species had risen from ash and silence. But while the galaxy panicked, the humans moved with purpose. Their fleets didn't conquer. They reclaimed. They appeared above forgotten worlds, deactivated alien defenses without firing a shot, and restored cities buried for millennia. No one knew how. But wherever they arrived, old human technology beneath the surface came to life again, like the planet itself remembered who once ruled it. On the Iron Talon, Captain Threx and his crew watched from afar as the first wave of human reclamation spread across the star map. Lieutenant Vora pointed at the glowing red sectors. These are all worlds under Dominion control, sir. They're not attacking. They're waking something up on every one of them. Threx frowned, his mandibles tightening. Waking what? Before she could answer, the ship trembled, a faint humming vibration through the hull. The lights flickered. Power fluctuations, shouted Har. Source unknown. Then, without warning, every system on the ship went dark. Engines, weapons, lights, dead silence. In that moment, something reached into their systems, a quiet, invisible hand. The bridge displays flickered back to life, but this time they were filled with human text. Scrolling lines of code older than the Dominion itself. Vora's eyes widened. Sir, that's human software. It's overriding everything. Impossible, Har shouted. This ship isn't even compatible with Terran code. But Threx already understood. They designed their technology to adapt to anything. To control anything. The comms flared again. The same calm, powerful voice as before. Vorn vessel Iron Talon. You are within restricted Terran territory. Your systems have been neutralized for safety. Remain still, Threx stepped forward. This is Captain Threx of the Dominion. We are not your enemy. A pause. Then, that remains to be seen. The screens filled with data, maps, coordinates, and ancient schematics. Among them, one stood out, a circular machine buried deep under the surface of a nearby planet. Sir, Vora whispered, that's a human relay hub. It's been dormant for centuries. The voice continued. That planet was once known as Eden Prime. We are reactivating it now. Do not interfere, the transmission cut off. Threx exchanged glances with his crew. If that hub powers their network, they could control the entire sector. Every ship, every defense system. Har clenched his fists. Then we can't just sit here? Lieutenant, Threx said firmly, if we attack, they'll destroy us in seconds. But if we do nothing, Har snapped, the Dominion will lose everything. Before Threx could reply, a sensor officer shouted, multiple energy spikes on the planet's surface. Something massive is activating down there. On the main screen, beams of blue light pierced through the clouds. The entire planet began to pulse, each beat matching the rhythm of Earth's ring from earlier. Vora gasped. They're linking it directly to Earth Command. Threx stared, his mind racing. The humans weren't rebuilding. They were reawakening a network. A galactic web of control that had once connected thousands of systems under their rule. And it was almost complete. "Captain," Har said, "if they finish linking the network, they'll control every fleet's systems, including ours." Threx's voice dropped. "Then we have to see it ourselves. Prepare a shuttle. We're going down." The crew hesitated. No one wanted to set foot on a world now under human control. But Threx's command was absolute. Within minutes, the shuttle detached from the iron talon and descended through the planet's dark clouds. Lightning arced across the sky, each bolt glowing the same eerie blue as the human ships. The planet's surface was a wasteland of old ruins, broken towers, shattered ships, and metallic skeletons half buried in ash. But beneath the destruction, something was alive. "Sir," Vora said, looking at her scanner, "this entire planet is a machine." As they approached the ruins of a vast city, the ground shifted, huge panels moving to reveal glowing tunnels beneath. The shuttle's instruments went wild. Then they saw it, a giant metal structure rising from the planet's heart. A sphere the size of a moon, surrounded by energy arcs and runic markings. "The core of the human relay hub," Threx whispered. "It's still functional." But before they could land, a light flared in front of them, a projection of Admiral Riley herself. "You shouldn't have come here," she said. Threx steadied his breath. "We had to know. You're bringing back something far greater than your people. What are you truly waking up?" Riley's expression didn't change. Her silver eyes reflected the energy storm outside. "You think this is about conquest," she said. "It's not. We are restoring balance. The galaxy forgot what order was when humanity fell." Vora spoke up. "You're controlling machines, systems, even living worlds." "That's not balance, that's domination." Riley's voice was calm but cold. "You mistake control for protection. The last time we trusted others, the stars burned." She paused, her gaze hardening. "We are not your enemy, Captain Threx. But if the Dominion stands in our way, it will share the fate of every empire that once tried to erase us." The projection vanished, and the sphere below them began to glow brighter. The planet trembled. The sky cracked open, and from orbit thousands of new human ships emerged from hyperspace. Reinforcements, drawn by the relay's signal. Har whispered, "It's a full invasion." Threx shook his head slowly. "No, it's worse." Vora looked at him. "Worse?" He stared at the massive energy waves spreading across the system. "They're not invading our galaxy. They're waking their own." Above them, the first fleet of the Second Terran Empire unfolded from the stars, silent, united, and endless. And deep beneath the surface, the planet's machine heart whispered a single message through every channel. Phase 2, initiated, humanity ascendant. The stars burned brighter than ever before. Entire constellations shimmered with strange blue pulses, the mark of humanity's awakening. Every alien fleet that tried to resist vanished within seconds. No one understood the weapons humans were using. They weren't destroying ships. They were absorbing them, turning enemy vessels into silent drones now flying under the human flag. On the Iron Talon, Captain Threx and his crew could only watch as the galaxy's order collapsed piece by piece. Lieutenant Vora stared at the holomap. "Every major Dominion world has gone dark. The humans have activated their relay network on all of them. They're not attacking, they're rewriting our systems." Threx's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "They're reprogramming the galaxy." Suddenly, the ship's internal lights flickered, and a holographic message appeared across every screen, the emblem of a new empire, a glowing Earth encircled by 7 silver stars. "This is the Terran Imperium. All systems are now under human authority." The voice that followed was unmistakable. Admiral Riley. "The galaxy once thrived under chaos. We bring order. Those who surrender will be protected. Those who resist will vanish into history." The message ended. The bridge fell silent. Lieutenant Har slammed his fist against the console. "Order, they're enslaving us." Threx didn't answer right away. His gaze lingered on the map, thousands of red Dominion-controlled systems turning blue one after another. He knew Har was right. Yet deep down, he also knew the humans weren't just conquering. They were restoring something ancient, something terrifyingly efficient. He finally spoke, his tone low. "This is not invasion. This is reclamation." Before anyone could respond, an alert blared. "Sir, incoming human ship. Massive, shouted the sensor officer.
It's unlike any class we've seen.
Through the viewport, something emerged from hyperspace, a colossal vessel that dwarfed entire moons. It wasn't sleek like the human warships before. It was ancient, armored, and covered in moving light. The hull bore a single name in glowing letters, HSS Eternity. Vora whispered, "That ship. It's the size of a city." A transmission came through instantly. "Vorn vessel Iron Talon, you are summoned aboard the HSS Eternity by order of Admiral Riley. You will not be harmed." Threx's crew looked at him nervously. "Sir?" He took a deep breath. "Prepare the shuttle. We're going." Moments later, the Iron Talon's shuttle docked with the human supership. The bay doors opened to reveal a sight that silenced even the bravest among them. Human soldiers in black armor, standing in perfect lines, their visors glowing with faint blue light. Their movements were mechanical, synchronized, too perfect to be fully organic. Threx and his officers followed their silent escort through vast metal halls filled with humming energy conduits. The air itself seemed alive, vibrating with unseen power. Finally, they entered a chamber unlike anything they'd ever seen, a throne room made of light. In the center stood Admiral Riley, flanked by holographic projections of other human commanders. Behind her, a massive circular window revealed Earth itself, shining like a blue gem among the stars. "Welcome, Captain Threx," she said. "You've seen what we've become. You've seen what we had to do." Threx bowed slightly, though fear burned behind his composure. "You've rebuilt an empire that vanished before our kind even crawled from the oceans. Why now? Why return?" Riley stepped closer, her voice calm and controlled. "Because extinction taught us patience, and patience gave us power." She gestured toward the galaxy map behind her. "Red systems continued to turn blue. When we fell, the galaxy forgot us. It built itself upon our ruins, our technology, our discoveries, our mistakes. Now we simply reclaim what was always ours." Vora dared to speak. "But the other species, they'll fight you." "They already are." Riley smiled faintly. "They already lost. They just don't know it yet." Her eyes glowed slightly as she continued. "The human mind endures where others break. We do not conquer because we want to. We conquer because no one else knows how to build peace that lasts." Threx felt his stomach twist. "You talk of peace, while destroying everything that stands in your way." Riley's gaze softened for the first time. "Destruction is the seed of renewal, Captain. You cannot rebuild a galaxy on a broken foundation." Suddenly, the chamber darkened and another hologram appeared, but it wasn't human. It was alien, ancient, and massive, a crystalline being of light and geometry. The human officers stiffened. Riley turned toward it. "Echelon," she said. The being's voice echoed like 1,000 chimes. "Phase 3 initiated. The final gate is ready." Threx's breath caught. "What gate?" Riley turned back to him. "The one that connects this galaxy to another." Everyone froze. Vora whispered, "You're opening a portal to another galaxy." Riley nodded. "The Terran Imperium was never meant to rule one galaxy. We were meant to return to all of them." The lights brightened, and through the massive window, the stars began to distort, bending and twisting as space itself folded inward. An enormous ring structure materialized outside the HSS Eternity, glowing with impossible energy. The Galactic Gate. "We built this long before our fall," Riley said softly. "Now it will reopen." The floor beneath them shook. The gate expanded, forming a swirling storm of light and gravity. Through it, faint outlines of other galaxies flickered, entire star systems waiting on the other side. Har whispered, trembling, "They're not coming to take our worlds. They're going to take everything." Riley turned toward Threx one last time. "Tell your people, Captain, humanity is not a myth. Humanity is destiny." And with that, the Galactic Gate ignited, a roaring storm of light that could be seen from every corner of the galaxy, on every world. Every species looked up at the night sky and saw it open, vast, endless, and terrifyingly human. The Terran Imperium had returned. And this time, they weren't stopping at one galaxy. The Galactic Gate burned brighter than a sun. Every world across the stars could see it, a colossal storm of light and power twisting reality itself. For the first time in thousands of years, every alien race, every empire, every colony looked to the same point in the sky and felt fear, because through that shining storm humanity was coming. On the Iron Talon, Captain Threx watched the impossible unfold before his eyes. His crew was silent, not out of discipline, but awe. The gate wasn't just a portal. It was alive. The energy readings were beyond anything recorded in galactic history. Lieutenant Vora spoke first, her voice trembling. "Sir, the gate's power output is infinite. It's rewriting physics itself." Threx didn't move. They're opening a path between galaxies. A bridge for their fleets. Why? Har asked quietly. They already control everything here. What more could they possibly want? Threx looked at the swirling gate and answered softly, "Maybe not what they want, but what they lost." The ship's sensors beeped. Dozens of human warships, colossal, sleek, and silent, emerged from the light of the gate, followed by even larger vessels that no known database could identify. The smallest among them were the size of moons. Every one of them bore the same emblem, the Terran Imperium. A transmission cut through all comms again. Admiral Riley's voice echoing across every frequency in the galaxy. "This is Admiral Riley of the Terran Imperium. To all sentient species, our return is not conquest. It is restoration. We built this galaxy from dust. We tamed its chaos. We fell so you could rise, but you forgot who taught you how to reach the stars." The bridge crew of the Iron Talon listened in stunned silence as Riley's voice became softer, colder. "We do not seek slaves or subjects. We seek memory, and those who remember what humanity truly was will stand beside us once more." Threx's eyes narrowed. "Memory? What does she mean by that?" Before anyone could respond, their systems flickered again, and a holographic projection filled the bridge. It wasn't Riley this time. It was a young human man, glowing faintly blue, his voice quiet and full of sadness. "If you're hearing this," he said, "then the Imperium has awakened." The crew froze. The message wasn't directed at them. It was bold. "We left behind echoes of ourselves hidden within the stars," the voice continued. "The Imperium was not built to rule. It was built to survive. We hoped someday someone would find us and remind us what it means to be human." The recording ended. The bridge was utterly silent. Vora turned to Threx. "Sir, what if they've forgotten? What if even they don't know what they are anymore?" Threx looked out at the gate, at the endless fleets emerging from the light. "Then the galaxy is about to remember for them." Far above, on the HSS Eternity, Admiral Riley stood before the vast viewing window as the final ships passed through the gate. The energy storms danced across her reflection, and for the first time her expression faltered. Behind her, the crystalline being Echelon spoke, its voice echoing like broken glass. "All fleets are through. The Imperium stands ready. Do we proceed with Phase 4? Riley stared into the glowing vortex, her mind heavy with memory. "Phase 4. The return beyond." "Affirmative," the being replied. "The protocols await your command." Riley didn't answer. Her eyes drifted toward Earth, glowing far in the distance, beautiful, alive. "When we vanished, we swore never to repeat the old wars," she whispered. "And yet here we are, standing at the edge of another." For a long moment she said nothing more. Then her voice hardened again. "Proceed." The command echoed across every ship. Engines roared to life. The galaxy itself trembled. From every human warship, beams of energy lanced toward the gate, feeding it, fueling it, expanding it. The stars around it began to stretch and warp, their light bending into rivers of fire. Har shouted from the Iron Talon's console, "The gate's collapsing space-time! If it expands any further, it'll consume the entire system." Vora's hands flew over the controls. "They're not collapsing it. They're fusing it. They're merging galaxies together." Threx stared in horror. "They're rewriting creation." The human fleet vanished into the light. One by one, the massive ships slipped through the gate, disappearing into an unknown universe. Then at last, the HSS Eternity began to move. Admiral Riley stood tall as her ship entered the event horizon. "To every world that remembers us," she said over the comms, "know this, humanity does not fade. It endures." And then the light swallowed her. The gate exploded in silence, a burst of energy so immense it tore the night apart. When the light faded, only quiet stars remained. The gate was gone. The human fleets had vanished. But the story wasn't over. On the Iron Talon, Vora looked at her readings and froze. "Sir, something's still here." "What do you mean?" Threx asked. She turned her screen toward him. "The gate didn't close. It duplicated. There's another one, forming near Dominion space." The realization struck like lightning. Threx whispered, "They left something behind." A message flashed on every ship's screen, written in glowing human script. Simple, cold, final. "We will return when you are ready." The stars dimmed. The transmission ended. And in the endless silence that followed, Captain Threx looked at the fading light where the humans had vanished. And for the first time in his life, he bowed his head, not in fear, but in respect, because he finally understood what the legends had meant all along. Humanity was not a myth. They were a warning. And the galaxy had just been reminded why.